All right, happy early 2025, early in a new year. It is a great time for resolutions, and a resolution that should be on everyone's list is hardening your Bitcoin security setup. And no doubt, many of you will be at different phases of your journey. Maybe there are some of you watching that have not taken self-custody ever. And so if that's you, that is certainly the place to start. In today's example, I'm going to show you how to withdraw from an exchange to your own secure self-custody. And even if you have a self-custody setup, there's different ways that you might be looking to improve that. And for any of you, I'm very excited to have in my hands today the new Blockstream Jade Plus device. So that is what we're going to be diving into today. Without further ado, let's jump in. Okay, so I've done a whole tutorial on the first Blockstream Jade model, which is a great little device and hardware wallet with some really unique security model properties that we will discuss. The Jade Plus has just come out and it has a number of upgrades to it. For one, you can select this kind of nice metal backing, which just really feels nice. It's still very compact. However, they've increased the screen size significantly, much better camera. And you will see I share that at various points of the tutorial we're going to go through today, that the difference between the last model and this, just in terms of being able to do air-gapped transactions with the camera and QR codes, is really, really nice now on this new device. And the Jade in general has a number of really unique properties. It is fully open source. Now you may say, well, aren't other leading, hardware wallets? Not really, right? Because the secure elements, which is where that critical key material, that private key is being stored, typically manufacturers of those secure elements have all sorts of, NDAs and different things. And so, yes, even some of your favorite brands probably have a secure element that itself is not fully open source. And so the Jade solves that by having a really unique security model in which it uses something called a blind oracle. And in a nutshell, what that means is that, number one, the device can be fully open source because there is no physical secure element on that device. However, you're still getting tons of security because you're effectively using kind of a virtual secure element. All that means is that there is a blind oracle, and I will link a document if you want to read up on this in more detail. I do think it is important to understand the security model of whatever device that you're using. But effectively, the outcome of this is not only do you get a fully open source device, you also end up in a situation where a physical attacker cannot actually get your seed phrase, cannot get your private key just from the device alone. And that is a pretty unique setup. The Jade also has anti-exfil technology. This was way back, I think, in even 2021. Blockstream was just ahead of the curve then. I recently, not too long ago, did a video on the Dark Skippy security threat that some of you may have seen going around last year. Check that video out if you are curious. But Blockstream said, yawn, like we've already thought of that. And so the Jade is one of the very few devices that is fully protected against that type of threat. So in any case, I really do think the Blockstream Jade is underloved in the community relative to some of the other devices that maybe have more sort of marketing flair out there. But today we're going to go through a full tutorial of how to set this thing up, how to pair it with a companion app, receive and send Bitcoin. I'm going to save more advanced things like multi-sig setups for a future video. So if you're curious about that, be sure you are subscribed and do your own research. Watch today's video, see what you think. But if you are so keen and you want to grab yourself a device, you can use my affiliate link to get yourself 10% off on your purchase, which is great. And so I will put that link in the description down below and flash it up on the screen now. Or alternatively, you can just go to their store and input code IAN, that is IAN, when you're checking out. You can just put that code in and that should get you that 10% off. So with all that preamble, let's go ahead and jump into the unboxing. All right, so we have got the Jade Plus in the packaging. As you can see, we have got a gray one, and you will see it is metal actually as well. They have plastic and metal that you can get. You should see this nice seal on the packaging. So let's go ahead and get this open. And so as we can see inside, we have got the Jade itself. And I must say, relative to Jade 1.0, I guess, definitely feels a little sturdier. I love the metal shell here. That feels really nice. You can see they have done away with the scrolling sort of wheel and made a perhaps more intuitive kind of navigation with these buttons, but we will of course check all that out. You've got the camera on the back. You have got the USB-C support in the bottom there. Very, very sleek stuff. And also underneath this, you have got a bunch of other goodies as well. You've got the 1, 2, 3 setup guide. We're obviously going to go through this together. Your keys, your Bitcoin, just some key features. You've got a couple recovery sheets where you can write down your seed phrase. Very important. Never share that with anyone, of course. Some stickers, always some nice swag. And then you've got this wired connection as well, just a classic USB-C cable, where if you want to use this in a wired fashion, you can. So step one, let's go ahead and get this powered on. The power button is just this one on the right. You see it's booting up. Okay. And so we can see it is uninitialized. So it's sort of sitting here in a stateless state. We can set up the Jade. We can also scroll to scan what's called a seed QR. There's some number of advanced features as we covered, other options, etc. So we are going to go ahead and set up the Jade. So I'll click, these are your left and right buttons, and then this is the sort of selector. So we'll say set up Jade. And it says for setup instructions, visit blockstream.com/Jade. We can bring that up in the background just so we've got it. We'll go ahead and continue though. So we'll go ahead and hit begin setup. And you have the option to create a new wallet or restore a wallet. Create a new wallet is going to create a new seed, right? And if you're curious how all this works, definitely check out some of the videos I've made in the past on Bitcoin cryptography, how you go from this gigantic random number that your device is going to create and how that gets derived into a human readable series of words that we call your seed phrase. In any case, we'll hit create new wallet, and it says these words are your wallet. Keep them protected and offline. We'll hit continue. And so we can see the beginning, the first 4 words of our recovery phrase. Obviously, do not share this. I am doing this purely for demonstration purposes in today's video. And so what you want to do is write down your words on this recovery sheet. Keep this safe. There are metal plated backups that you can kind of chisel your words into. I think even Blockstream themselves sells a Blockstream metal that could protect against, fire damage, flood damage that, God forbid would happen in your home. In any case, write this down, and this literally is the equivalent of your wallet as the warning message said. So I'm going to write this down and be right back. Okay. And then it's going to quiz you to make sure that you wrote everything down accurately. Once you get through that brief quiz, you are taken to this screen where it's going to have you select your connection method. It's really just if you are doing Bluetooth, it will enable that option for you here. We're going to do QR because we want to use this in a fully air-gapped fashion. So we will go ahead and select this. And it is telling us to visit blockstream.com/PN to secure. So we will go and do that. Let's go ahead and hit continue. And we're going to give our device a PIN. Okay, so on my computer, we've entered our PIN. We're going to hit done. And this is going to now scan the QR code that's now flashing and displaying on the device itself. So I'm going to say allow this time. There we go. And so we're scanning this QR code. There we go. Okay, so step 1 is complete. I'll hit go. And then now it's presenting me the camera to scan the screen there. Okay. All right, and as we can see, you are now all set. Enjoy your Jade QR mode. So we have now initialized, we've created our seed, and as you can see, this session on the screen here is now active. And so I can now do a number of things. I see my battery in the top right. So I can always charge this device up using just the this little guy. You could even get like a battery bar if you want to connect this into something that is not connected to the internet itself. You have options here to scan a QR code, which we will be putting to use here very shortly when we pair this up with a companion app. Keep in mind, right, like this device is of course not connected to the internet. So how are you going to get information about transactions or signatures to the broader P2P network that is Bitcoin? You need to pair this up with a companion app. Now, Blockstream themselves has developed the Blockstream Green, which is a sort of built for purpose companion app for the Jade. Because I've done that in a prior video and the sort of pairing process is essentially the same for the Jade 1.0 and then the Jade Plus, I'm actually going to do something different today. I'm going to pair the Jade Plus here up with Sparrow wallet, which frankly is my overall favorite desktop wallet. And if you're brand new to Sparrow wallet, I have done a whole tutorial on that in the past. But either way, you're going to need a companion app to pair up with your Jade, and that companion app is really the conduit between this device and the rest of the Bitcoin network. And you can see on the screen here, you're now all set. Visit Jade QR compatible companion apps. You can hit this explore button and you'll see some of the different options that you have, right? And there's a bunch of them. Blockstream Green, of course, is what they're going to recommend. There's Sparrow, there's Nunchuck. You could use this with Blue Wallet, and the list goes on. So let's go ahead and get Sparrow pulled up, and we will continue with the process. This video is made possible by Bitcoin trading cards, and I am pumped to have them as the first sponsor on my channel. I met Aladdin and the team back at Pacific Bitcoin 2022, and I'm not going to lie, at the time I thought, okay, cool, a quirky little Bitcoin project, but little could I have imagined at the time how this project would capture imaginations. I've personally used these to orange pill people that I care about in my life. The art is stunning and features Bitcoin artists all around the world. You get high quality Bitcoin education on topics like economics and freedom as part of that, which makes this, as you can imagine, a really special project for me. And I'm not gonna lie, it makes you want to collect these. The community behind this is also truly insane. And I think they have a real shot at bringing Bitcoin to the mainstream. So if you're curious to check them out, head over to btc-tc.com where you can find the different series they've launched. And hey, if you do end up snagging some cards, you'll also get some Bitcoin rewards back on your purchase, powered by Jolts. Here's to ripping packs and stacking sats. Okay, so just as a heads up, this is what Blockstream Green looks like, at least on desktop. So again, pretty slick, and you can plug in the device and Blockstream Green will verify that indeed it was manufactured by Blockstream. So that's kind of yet another nice perk of the Blockstream Green companion app. So you can download this from blockstream.com. Now, as I said, I'm going to be using something different, Sparrow Wallet, just because I know that a lot of you appreciate seeing different ways of connecting these different things. And so again, if you are curious about the Blockstream Green, go check out my prior video that I did on the Blockstream Jade 1. That will show effectively the same functionality for the Green. But for us today, let's exit out of this And we are now on Sparrow. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to File, New Wallet. And I'm just going to say, demo Jade Plus. This is a local name, so this is on your local machine. Probably don't want to necessarily name it with the kind of device type, but that's fine for our purposes today. We are now presented with a couple settings that we need to configure. So all this at the top, single sig, that's fine. The Jade, by the way, is an excellent cosigner as part of a multi-sig setup in Quorum. I've done a number of videos on this channel about multi-sig setups. I'm definitely going to do some more in the future, so be sure you're subscribed as you look to level up your Bitcoin security game. But really the big thing we need to configure here is here at the bottom, there are a number of options, right? So do you have a hardware wallet that you're connecting via a wire? That would be this first option. Do you have an air-gapped hardware wallet that you're connecting either via some sort of an SD card or QR code? That would be the second option, and that is indeed what we're doing today with the Jade Plus. If you just want to use Sparrow Wallet and have a hot wallet on your laptop right here, you can do this third option, and so on and so forth. So we want this second option, right, because we're using our Jade Plus in an air-gapped manner. Let's click this, and you can see that they have like all of these nice options. And lo and behold, we see the Jade here. And so what this is going to do when I hit the scan button here is it's going to pull up the computer camera to scan a QR code on the Jade device. What is that QR code? The QR code is going to be something called the extended public key. So this is not your sensitive, private key, right? That's obviously going to stay on the device. But this public key will allow Sparrow to display the appropriate balance information associated with any addresses that have been generated by your device. So that is what we are importing, if you will, into Sparrow. And to get there on the Jade, you can scroll over to Options, hit Select, go to Wallet, and Export XPub. And so we've got our single sig little XPub here. I'm going to hit the scan button on my laptop in Sparrow. And I'm going to... Quick note, I will say right off the bat, I had a fair number of challenges with the Jade 1 when it came to doing QR codes, particularly because my laptop doesn't have a particularly great camera. That was a breeze. So this is a very clear step up in the Jade Plus just from that perspective alone. Okay, so we have now imported our extended public key, thereby pairing our Sparrow companion app with the Jade device. If you're ever curious about whether you've got it right, you can look at this master fingerprint here and compare that to what you see in the very bottom right on the home screen on your Jade device. But we are looking all good. We're going to go ahead and hit apply in the bottom right. And now it's going to ask us for a password. You should definitely put a password on this. This is different, by the way, than a passphrase. A passphrase is a Bitcoin native concept that effectively is akin to like a 13th word or a 25th word. So sort of like an extra seed word. This password is just a local password. So if someone were to get your laptop and open up Sparrow, they would need this password even just to get to like the Sparrow interface for this. So I'm going to say no password for today just because this is a demo and I will not be using this particular seed after today. But if you're doing this for real, you definitely want to set a good password. Okay. And so we now have these different menu items on the left. In Sparrow, you can always come back and reference this information by going to the settings area in the bottom there. But Sparrow's great. You've got your different individual UTXOs once you actually receive Bitcoin. You've got your different addresses that are associated with the Jade. You've got your receive tab, which we will come back to in just a moment. You've got your send tab where you can send out Bitcoin. And then you've got your list of transactions. So again, don't be intimidated if this looks a little bit advanced. Sparrow is excellent. And once you get the hang of it, it is a phenomenal, phenomenal tool. So step one, we need to receive some Bitcoin into our wallet here, right? And Sparrow's going to serve up the first unused address that our wallet has generated here. So you can copy this by hitting the little copy link there, or you can simply scan that QR code. And so if you're taking self-custody for the first time and you're trying to withdraw value from like an exchange, for example, this is what you would paste into the exchange. If you're moving it from some other different wallet, you would paste this in there. Now, maybe to show an example of the former, I think I've got a few referral sats in my River account. I do. Drag this guy over. River is a fantastic exchange as far as centralized exchanges go. I've done a whole video on this, so check that out if you are curious. River runs all their own infrastructure. I'm not, compensated by them for saying any of this. I just really like River as an exchange option, and I've been accruing some referral sats here, it looks like. So we're going to use this as our demonstration for today. So what I'm going to do is come back to Sparrow, make sure I have this copied. And I'm going to come back to River. And again, maybe you're in Coinbase, maybe you're in Cash App, wherever you buy your Bitcoin, they're going to have some sort of a send or withdraw option. So you can see this here. It says send. So I'm going to hit the send button and it's saying, well, where do you want to send it? I know where I want to send it. We're sending it to this address that I've pasted in, which again is the exact same as what Sparrow is showing. Let's send $50 worth of Bitcoin. Let's do it with priority. We'll pay a few extra cents. And so I am sending this to this. Again, just double check that you've got the right address. Always a good step. Indeed, I do. And so it sent me a little verification code. Again, this is of course, a KYC'd method of acquiring Bitcoin. If that's not your cup of tea, I have lots of tutorials on this channel as well about how you can acquire sats in a non-KYC fashion with some of these peer-to-peer platforms that are excellent. I'm going to put in my verification code real quick. Okay, so the send is initiated. How these exchanges typically work is they're going to batch together individual user withdrawal requests so that they are kind of minimizing the on-chain fees that they need to pay. So it may take a little bit of time depending on your exchange, but let's go ahead and close out of this and we will give that withdrawal some time to process and then we will be right back. Okay, so as we can see, we have got a confirmation on our withdrawal that we made from River. That was actually pretty quick. And so we've received value into our wallet. Note that we at no point needed to interact with the Jade device to receive value in because we had paired it up with Sparrow via the extended public key. So Sparrow knows the different addresses that my Jade Plus wallet is capable of creating. And so it scans the blockchain and it says, okay, there's 50,987 sats associated with this address. And so that's how it knows to pull that information in. So that's nice. Think of this almost like a watch-only sort of wallet, right? You can receive Bitcoin into it. You can visualize and see your balance. And then you can construct transactions to send value out. So for a lot of you, maybe you're long-term hodlers and like, this is it. Like, that's all you did. I think even if you intend to hold your Bitcoin on this type of device for a long period of time, it is always a good practice to at least first make sure you're comfortable sending value out, right? And even potentially recovering. You could like factory reset your Jade. We'll look at some of those options in just a second if you really wanted to kind of test your mettle. So we're now going to show how to send this value out. So to do that, naturally, we're going to go to the send tab here. And I'm going to grab a address that I just grabbed really quick from another wallet. And I'm going to paste this in here. Just give labels are useful if you want to keep track of different things for privacy purposes. I'm just going to go ahead and hit max send all this value out. Sparrow is automatically going to look at the mem pool or the memory pool where pending transactions are sitting waiting to get picked up by miners in the next block. And so it's automatically going to pick something appropriate for the current level of congestion, but you can slide that up or down if you wish. I'm happy with that there. And we can go now to the bottom right and say create transaction, and it'll just give us a recap, and we can say finalize transaction for signing. So now that we've done that, we have a number of different ways in which we can do this, right? Because now we need some degree of communication between the Jade Plus device and Sparrow. Otherwise, we cannot apply a valid signature to this transaction, which is a key requirement of any Bitcoin transaction. So we now have a couple different options. You can, either way, we're working with what are called partially signed Bitcoin transactions, PSBTs, meaning that we're using Sparrow to construct a otherwise complete transaction. All that it's missing is a valid signature. And how we apply a valid signature is, of course, from our private keys. So that's what we're going to get from the device, in this case, the Jade Plus. And there's a couple different ways to do that in an air-gapped fashion. One is we could actually save or write this transaction like to an SD card. And you'll see in the Blockstream shop, they also have this kind of Jade Link, they're calling it, which is just like USB-C little thing that you can easily plug into your Jade device. So that is one way of doing it. I personally think the QR codes are even easier. And so that is what we're going to do here. We're going to first show the QR via Sparrow so that we can basically import the transaction information into our Jade. And then we're going to have the Jade apply that signature and flip it back to Sparrow to scan and then broadcast that complete transaction. Now, one other thing I wanted to note is, let's say your Jade goes to sleep, or you put it to sleep, whatever. You can turn it back on with the power button here. And you'll see this unlock Jade button, right? And you'll say, oh, okay, I just click that. But then you're going to see this. Wait, I need to connect it to a wire now? Weird. We're using this in an air gap fashion. So ignore that. And what you're actually going to do is come over to QR mode. So just keep that in mind, that those are sort of separate and distinct. Like if you're using a wired connection with the Blockstream Green, or even, you can do that with Sparrow as well. You can just use the unlock Jade option here and then put in your PIN. That's it. For air gapped QR mode, we're going to go through that process again. And it's going to feel tedious, but the reason is because of that Jade security model, that unique security model in which, if an attacker ever got his or her hands on this device, with this device alone, they can't actually get any valuable information. They can't actually extract my seed phrase. So that is sort of part of the trade-off, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and hit QR PIN unlock, and we'll go back to our handy friend on this website. I'll hit continue. I will put in my PIN. Okay, so I've put in my PIN. I can hit done here. I will refresh. And we'll scan the QR code like we did the first time. Boom. And then we'll hit check on the Jade, and we will scan this QR code. All right. And now we are back to an active session. So again, an extra step there, but again, it goes back to that unique security model. I think if you're not, spending value out of this thing like crazy, that is not bad at all. Okay, so let's come back to Sparrow now. And so now we can show the QR. So it's giving us a rotating QR code, which contains all the information about this particular transaction. And I'm going to come over, of course, to the scan QR option, and I'm going to pull up the camera, and we're going to scan. Okay. So we have scanned the QR code and we can see the expected address here. Again, always good to double check that that is what you expect. We see the expected amount. So that's all good. We can hit over. And we see the fee attached to this transaction. That looks as expected. So now we can hit OK. So we've now applied a signature to this partially signed Bitcoin transaction. So it's now a complete Bitcoin transaction. But now we need to get it back to Sparrow to broadcast to the network. And so we're just going to exit out of this on the laptop, and we're going to say scan QR, and we're going to, and okay, and again, I'm telling you guys, they definitely heard the feedback. I think there was a lot of feedback around, in the first model, the camera wasn't, maybe the best, or QR codes were difficult. I ran into that myself. This is slick now. So they have clearly, that's a huge improvement from before. So now, as we can see on our Sparrow screen, we have a fully complete Bitcoin transaction ready to broadcast. Let's go ahead and broadcast that to the network. And we can see that it is an outgoing transaction. If we come back here, we can see that value heading back out. So there you have it. We took a look at setting up the Jade, creating our seed phrase, pairing it up with a companion app such as Sparrow, receiving value in and sending value out. And then finally, keep in mind there are some other settings and options here. If you go to the options area, we took a look at the wallet options earlier when we were exporting our extended public key. There's some device level settings around, the display. You could toggle from mainnet to testnet if you want to test out some Bitcoin transactions on testnet. Although testnet Bitcoin now, for a variety of reasons, has actual value, which is funny. You can enable the Bluetooth communication method depending on how you're connecting this up to other software. This is also where you can factory reset your device. I actually think this, particularly for people that are newer to, Bitcoin and wallets and self-custody, this can often be a useful step. So let's say that you went through the setup process and before you received any value to your seed here, you could just come and factory reset this guy and then practice restoring your seed phrase. So remember earlier when we did the create new wallet, there was that second option that said restore wallet. That is what you could select and then enter your actual seed words to recover your seed. And so, for example, if anything were to happen, this device gets lost, whatever, you buy a new device, you restore that seed phrase that you have so carefully secured, and you can get back to your funds. So, that is how, that is a good check that you may want to do. There's some additional info here about the firmware that it's on. USB storage, that's just assuming you have some sort of the SD card via a connector here. And so you could do firmware upgrades that way. That's how you would do firmware upgrades, of course. You could sign messages, etc. And then some authentication pieces. You can put a duress pin on this. This is pretty cool. If you set a duress pin, God forbid, let's say a physical attacker, shows up at your homes, give me all your Bitcoin, and you could put in the duress pin, and that's automatically going to nuke the device. And so that attacker is not going to get any Bitcoin, and you can say, oh, I don't know what happened, or see, I told you there's no Bitcoin in this, something like that. It gives you an interesting option there. Your Jade device is capable of creating one-time passwords, which is interesting. You can change the PIN method, or change your PIN rather, if you would like. So again, a couple different options there. Once you're done, you can just end the session by logging out, going to sleep, and there we have it. So let's go ahead and conclude today's video. All right, so again, today we took a look at the Blockstream Jade Plus, hot off the press, and I must say it is a big upgrade from the first model, number one. And number two, I just, again, really like the overall package, the security model, unique properties we discussed at a price point that I think is fair. And again, reminder, if you are so curious about grabbing yourself anything from the Blockstream store, you can use my affiliate link. And if you want to grab yourself a Jade device, you can get yourself 10% off. I will put that link in the description down below, or you can simply use code Ian when you check out. But I'm curious to hear, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on the Blockstream Jade in general and this latest Plus version? Are there other hardware wallets you'd like to see covered in future videos that I maybe haven't done so far on the channel? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I hope you found this valuable and insightful. If you did, you already know what to do. Give this video a like. Use the share feature underneath this video. That really does help get this to a broader audience. And if you were so enamored with this content and you want to donate to a pleb, which really does help me continue to make these videos, you can do so in a number of ways. There's the YouTube Super Thanks feature built directly into YouTube, or my preference, you can zip some sats my way over the Lightning Network to my Lightning address, ragermajor@getalby.com. And for those of you that want to get in touch with me one-on-one, I'm now working with a number of clients on all sorts of Bitcoin topics, whether it's taking self-custody, creating a multi-sig, Bitcoin privacy best practices, running your own Bitcoin node, and more. You can reach out to me at vita.io/IanMajor. But for now, we'll go ahead and leave things here. As a reminder, every sat counts, especially if it's secured in a world-class hardware wallet like the Blockstream Jade Plus. And until next time, my friends, I'll see you then.